I can't get that thumb towards.
Well, no, but I'm saying that.
1 minute, that's what I said, beginning and end. Always one.
Good evening. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the public hearing to adopt the final millage and the budget meeting this Tuesday, September the 8th. I will read the legal requirement. Florida Statute 200.063(2)(e) states that the School Board of Sarasota County, Florida will soon consider a budget for the 2021 year. A public hearing to make a decision on the budget and taxes will be held on September the 8th, 2020 at 1980 Landings Boulevard, Sarasota, Florida. During such discussion, the governing body shall hear comments regarding the proposed millage rate. The general public shall be allowed to speak and to ask questions prior to adoption of any measures by the governing body. The governing body shall adopt its tentative or final millage rate prior to the adoption its tentative and or final budget. Please stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The 2020 proposed required local effort millage rate represents a 3.10% increase over last year's rolled back millage rate. The total 2020 proposed millage rate represents a 2.68% increase from last year's rolled back millage rate. The operating millage is required to hire staff for the school district, pay negotiated salary and fringe benefits to staff, the cost of fuel, electricity, and other goods and services. I will now open the floor for the board to hear public comments regarding the final millage rates and answer questions related thereto. Is there anyone here that would like to speak? I will close the public hearing. May I have a motion on the adoption of the 2020 final millage rates, please?
I move for adoption of the 2020 final millage rates.
Which
That
are?
the following millage rates be adopted as presented. Required local effort, 3.727 mils. Discretionary operating, 0.748 mils. Capital, 1.500 mils. Voted operating, 1.000 mil. Total millage, 6.975 mils. I move that this be approved as presented.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any comments? Mrs. Brown?
I just want to congratulate you for putting this new book together for us. There's so much more information in here, and I find myself keep reading it and moving back and forth, and when they wanted to update the new book, I'm now tasked with having to highlight all the things I highlighted in the old book. But there is a wealth of information in here. It looks wonderful, and I really, really want to give you a heads up for a great job done. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed, please say nay. And the chair votes aye, and it passes 5-0.
Madam Chair, are we not using the electronic voting system?
No, it's not up.
Okay.
I will now open the public meeting for the board to hear public comments regarding the final millage rates and answer questions related thereto. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this section?
Madam Chair, this is the public hearing with regard to the final budget.
Yes. Hearing no one, I will close this meeting. May I have a motion for the adoption of the budget amendments for 2020-2021, please?
I move the adoptions as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Mr. Robinson? Just made it.
I mean, I'm going to be voting for this, but it's a little frustrating, the fact that we didn't amend the budget for the fact of the reality is I don't think anybody expects that we're going to have the same revenue as we did in the original budget. Everybody expects there to be a loss of students. I agree, nobody knows what the exact amount is, but that's how budgets work. Budgets are estimates. And we've also talked about how we're going to have a hiring freeze, and we're not going to. The way we're offsetting that is by having 90 staff members who have positions that are open, but that are in the budget. So the plan is we're going to have revenue that we're not going to get that we are projecting, and the way we're going to offset that is by not hiring staff that we are projecting. And I would rather the budget reflect our best estimate, and I don't believe that it does because of those reasons. Thank you.
Mrs. Ziegler,
No, I'm good.
you changed it? Okay. All right. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And the chair votes aye, and the motion passes 5-0. Adoption of the 2020-2021 final budget. May I have a motion?
I move for approval of the adoption of the 2020-2021 final budget as presented.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the discussion, Mr. Robinson?
Just to remain consistent, for the past 4 years, my main issue has been with the equitable funding instead of equalized funding, and so I'm going to do a vote of consistency that I've done for the past 4 years as a show of support for equitable funding versus equalized funding.
Mrs. Ziegler?
Thank you. I will also not be supporting this. I know, and when it was advertised, there were reasons, particularly on some capital expenditures and some other areas, wanting to make sure we are being as fiscally conservative as we can. I know these are very difficult times, and I know that there's a lot of unknowns as well. I want to thank the finance department and your entire team. This has been a very difficult time, and putting all of this together, I appreciate it. So by no means is that a reflection on the work that you guys are doing. So, but again, I appreciate the work you're doing.
Well, I'd like to thank you for an excellent budget that you brought before us. With all the unknowns that we have, it's amazing that we were able to get a budget, because I know what's out there and what isn't out there. And I mean, you've put genie hats on to try and make this budget come out, and I greatly appreciate that. I think you've done an awesome job with what you were dealt. It was amazing. So I will support this budget, as I have all the budgets, because the only thing that really can't be changed here is the millage rate, because that's mainly what this is. But the budget is flexible, and within the budget you can make changes as long as you don't go over the budget amount. So thank you very much. Mrs. Brown.
One of the information things that is clear to see here, and I really like the way you added the FEFP formula in here. It's kind of difficult, but if anybody wants to learn how the state figures out how the funds come, there is a graph on there. I think it's on page 170. It sort of shows how they turn around and allocate the funds. One of the things that they do is they give us funds for transportation. It's like $6.8 million they gave us this year. But if you look at other pages in our budget, you can see that we've allocated $19.2 million for the transportation costs, plus $6.4 million for bus replacement. So you can see that the state gives us just under 1/4 of the dollars that we are expecting that we have to spend on transportation. But there's all kinds of other information you can learn in the budget, and I really thank you for giving me all this information and keeping me up nights with my highlighter. Thank you.
Mrs. Goodwin.
Well, I too would like to thank our financial department and personnel, because I know what a moving target this has been all year, on top of Mrs. Corcoran serving as interim superintendent. I mean, we should get her a pair of those things so she can become a juggler in the circus. You know, I think she probably would enjoy that as a next career. But, you know, the budget, what it is perhaps going to be whittled down, as Mr. Robinson said. I think if not before session, if not by the end of the year, maybe the first of the year. But I would just say that, you know, looking at what we do and how we do it, we've been working on this budget all year, and we've been meeting multiple times in multiple months. But now, when we have this budget, it has to go where? To the Department of Ed for approval. And, you know, we have 4 or 5 calculations that we do, and never is there a time that we're not looking over our shoulder to see if, in fact, we're going to get the same amount of money that was promised. So stay tuned, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride, I think. But I do want to say this is a job well done, the best book we've ever had, the best information, even the wonderful FEFP formula, which, you know, is a formula that's quite a long and deep breath. So if anybody wants to know or understand more about this, this is a great formula for doing that. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
No.
And the budget passes 3-2. Our next meeting will be our workshop on Tuesday, September the 15th, beginning at 9:30 a.m., and a school board meeting will be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We are adjourned.
Easy peasy.
Trying to let you know as soon as possible.